Hey, Jamsters. Thanks again for pressing play. And welcome once again to another edition of our irrelevant, silly nonsense podcast, The Sun's Jam Session. My name is John Voida, managing editor of BrightSideOfTheSun.com, and of course, a co-host of the Sun's Jam Session podcast with Matthew. Matthew, you're a co-host too.
I sure am, and this is the billionth time I come in. I still have to adjust my camera when we're live, so I'm still keeping it professional.
As much as silly nonsense.
It's
ridiculous.
Not that big a deal, guys. Chill out.
It's all gonna be okay. What an amazing, incredible, odd, fun podcast we have before you. Team USA wins by just 4 points over Serbia, having to fight back in the fourth quarter in epic fashion with some of the greatest stars in NBA history having to be responsible for charging up the hill and ultimately pushing this team over the finish line for victory. It's one of the most memorable games I feel like in recent Olympic history for numerous reasons. Man, what a game that was today, Matthew.
Yeah, it was crazy because with them losing by 13 or 15 points, you're thinking, like, how do they even respond if they lose this game and they go to the bronze medal game?
How do we respond?
Well, I mean, like the questions are going to be asked to them, like, well, how did you guys lose? How did you not get gold this year? The comparison with the Dream Team, and we know it's a little bit more difficult now with the European players always, they're stacking in the NBA now, about 60 of them. So that they are facing. So, it's going to be better competition, but, they were guaranteed the gold this year. So that was going through my mind in this game. That's why it was like the first time actually watching this game where I'm like sitting there actually cheering these guys on because you have to. You're like, you guys got to win this. Yeah. Fist pumps. Yeah.
Obviously, for those of you who didn't watch the game, we're here to recap that on this post-game podcast for the Suns Jam Session podcast because there's a couple Phoenix Suns who are obviously on the Team USA squad, and we want to talk about their performance. But to Matthew's point, I agree. This is the one game where you're sitting there and you're like, whoa, they're down 12. They're down 15. What is going on? And you're starting to find yourself truly rooting for Steph Curry to hit threes, truly rooting for LeBron James to power down the lane, truly rooting for Joel Embiid to hit a fadeaway 15-footer. And it took everything and more for the Suns, Team USA to beat Serbia today. And we're going to talk about that and plenty more on this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast. So I see a lot of people in the chat hanging out with us. Truly appreciate you doing so. If you're here on YouTube, go ahead, hit the thumbs up. If you happen to be somewhere else, maybe on Twitter or Facebook or Twitch, head over to our YouTube page. Drop us a like. Give us a subscribe, if you will, and turn on the bell notifications if you like. It's a good way to support the podcast and lets other people know where you like to come and hang out with a bunch of guys who are just irrelevantly silly and put out a lot of nonsense. So on that note, I'm going to have myself an old-fashioned.
Oh, fuck, man. Hell yeah. You working from home tomorrow?
I do. I does.
Yeah, me too. I should have got a drink.
I had one of these last night,
have some wine. Oh, but I want to go to the gym. Oh, I'm torn.
Decisions. You're like Natalie and Bruglia right now. You're torn. You gotta. I had an old fashioned last night, and this is a bullet rye old fashioned. I like my rye. You want to go get yourself a glass of wine while we play the drop, Matthew?
I think I'm gonna pour just a little bit.
All right. Well, Matthew's gonna go get some wine.
Okay.
And we're gonna play the drop.
Get some wine.
Welcome to the Suns Jam Session, everybody. Was a narrow victory for the Americans as they beat the Serbian team by a final score of 95-91 in the semifinal game of the Paris Olympics. Seeing a lot of Jamsters in the chat. You got Maya B. She's like, I watched the whole game and I was stressed. We know that, Maya B. Your KD burner account.
Yeah.
You were in the game. You were watching it. Stephanie's here. She's saying, "Woohoo! I'm finally get to watch one of these lies." live. Hey.0's here.
We do
That
lie
guy
a lot.
on Serbia team was on fire. Yeah, they were on fire from beyond the arc. Sir Hamo's here. Let's go, Jamsters. John Tran. Haven't seen the Tran Master here in a while. But he says, can't spell USA men's basketball without Suns. That's absolutely correct.
That's another lie.
And
Yep.
but it brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
So, Matthew, I got to ask a couple questions here. The first one, obviously, this game happened, 12:30 p.m. is when it started, 12 p.m., somewhere in there, afternoon game.
Yep.
How did you watch this game, and what the fuck happened?
I was going to watch it at 12:30, but then I couldn't actually do it on playback. I don't know. I had a hard time figuring it out. So I put it down, got back to work. And I was like, I'm pretty sure they're going to win this game. But I did look at the score after halftime, and they were down by 10 points. I'm like, okay, this is very interesting. So shout out to my friend Ming at work. He does have Peacock. So
Way to go, Ming.
we were in his back office in a meeting, and we were hanging out, watching the rest of the game. I'm so glad I got to watch this one because it was the first one I feel like in the Olympics that was well worth watching after all these blowouts. And it's one I kind of predicted to be a blowout. And I don't think we really saw it kind of being this close in the end, but it was, oh man, on that tiny phone, just looking at the stats on the, we were kind of watching the stats from the Olympics, the website, and it was like kind of ahead of it, but just watching on the tiny phone, just really going for the white. I don't know who had the ball here or there, but rooting for these guys, like you said, Embiid and Steph Curry, and just like, oh, like they got to come through for us, for Suns fans, for the USA, because they cannot lose this game. It's if they were to lose this game, they got lucky in a few missed shots by Serbia. If they were to lose this game, this would have been probably the biggest upset in the longest time and the biggest failure, I feel like, in Olympic basketball ever, right?
100%. I mean, as this game was progressing, you're sitting there and you're thinking of the 2004 squad, right, that won the bronze medal. And, that was the game, the team that we have talked about previously on other post-game podcasts after Olympic Games that featured Sean Marion and Amari Stoudemire and Stephon Marbury months after he was traded away from the Phoenix Suns, and how just utterly disappointing that was. And I thought back to a conversation we had when I brought up that before. I'm like, well, we got 2 members of the Suns on this team. The last time 2 members of the Suns were on a team, the team ended in bronze. And they're down big. And I'm with you. So I'm at work, and I did watch the France and Germany game, on my phone. I got the Peacock. I got the cock. And I had that on, while I'm working, just kind of checking in, seeing what the score of that game is. And France won that game, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But this was right when, Thursday I go out to lunch with a bunch of work people. So we went out to lunch, duck and decanter, and I have it on my phone and I'm watching it in the first half. And I'm just like, dude, they're down. And by the time I get back to the office, it's halftime and they're down. And I had a meeting as well. So the meeting's going on, kind of, again, the phone's over here, just kind of checking on it from time to time. And the meeting ended right when the fourth quarter started. And at that point, they were down, I want to say 11-12, somewhere in that range. And you're just like, what the actual fuck is happening? And then that epic comeback occurred where Team USA in the fourth quarter outscored the Serbian team 32-15 to win by 4 points. So, I mean, that just goes to show you how unbelievable it had to be for the Americans to pull off what could have been one of the all-time greatest upsets. Seeing some of the comments in the chat, who just said it? Somebody said that. Where is it? Oh my gosh, this is so bad. Oh yeah, what a terrible effort for 34 minutes is what Jason Sanchez says, and I disagree. I think that the Serbians were just dialed in, and they were hitting everything from beyond the arc. And we know what that's like because it wasn't from lack of effort. It was from them just being so locked in. And the Serbians, in my opinion, it kind of felt like they rope-a-doped us, right? Because this is a team that we've played twice now. We played them in the USA Showcase, and we played them in group play. And the Suns, Team USA, easily handled them. And in this situation, they came out guns blazing. It's almost like in those first 2 games, they're like, yo, we just got to get to the final rounds. If we can get there, we can really bring the pop. We can really bring the fire. You couple that with the way that they were shooting from beyond the arc, and it took one of the greatest comebacks in American Olympic history to pull off the victory.
Yeah, it kind of reminds you of the Suns season. I mean, we went 3-0
Dude.
against the Timberwolves, and then we lost every game, obviously, in the playoffs against the team. So maybe that's a rope a dope. But when you're watching
Maybe
this
we're a
game as
bunch of
Suns
dopes.
fan, yeah. Well, going into the game as a Suns fan, man, we are a bunch of dopes. Going into the game as a Suns fan, you're just thinking about Kevin Durant, Devin Booker on your team. You're like, God, this is so awesome. Two of our guys, and I just watched Gilbert Arenas talk about the top 5 players in the NBA. Top at their position. He picks Devin Booker and Kevin Durant in his top 5. I'm like, damn, playing in the Olympics, Gilbert Arenas, whatever he says is the truth. So I'm feeling good. But then when I see the score, I'm like, okay, so how do we, Maya B, close your eyes, cover your ears. How do we get rid of Kevin Durant and Devin Booker after this Olympics? That's where I go to. I'm like, all right, now I'm not so impressed with these guys. Kind of want to get rid of them because it's just so embarrassing. I don't want them to come out next year and play for the Suns. And then you just go right back to it where Kevin Durant comes in and hits some big shots. Devin Booker, obviously the stats weren't really there, but his defense was really good. He picked up like the full court press. You could tell he wasn't really touching the ball offensively in the fourth quarter, but he was playing some great defense out there on the perimeter. So you kind of buy back into these guys, but that belief in them coming back, it just wasn't there for me, obviously. And I think that's just because of last year and the way
you're a Suns fan.
Yeah, that's the way I was feeling. So then we're going to the fourth quarter. I'm like, oh, this is over. And then they come back, and I'm like, damn, dude, you just gotta believe, Matthew. You gotta believe in these guys. You gotta actually cheer them on, and like it's a game they can still win. I just thought it was over entering the fourth. I was just kind of pissed.
No, it's a condition that I felt while I was watching the game as well, and it was one of disappointment where I'm like, man, this is like, I finally have a team where we should just slaughter the competition time in and time out, and it's a weird feeling because we're not used to having that here in Phoenix, right? And even if we do, we know that it's going to end in disappointment. And you're watching this team play the playbook of the Suns. There were some turnovers there that were just ugly. Like Steph Curry, we'll talk about him momentarily. Like he had an amazing offensive game, but he also had some dumb passes, and you have to credit the Serbians. The way that they were playing the passing lanes, they were doing everything they can to deny members of Team USA the ball, and they were being successful at doing so. And I'm like, this is some Suns fourth quarter shit. Now, they were doing it throughout the entire game. When the fourth quarter came around, Team USA locked in again, 32 to 15 in that fourth quarter, and took the reins and ultimately won the game. And part of that turning point was the defense of Devin Booker and the offense of Kevin Durant.
Big Dick Booker.
Now, obviously, this is a Phoenix Suns podcast, so we're going to focus on members of the Phoenix Suns and how they performed in this game. Starting off with Devin Booker with 24 minutes played, only 2 of 4 from the field and 1 of 2 from beyond the arc. But that 1 of 2 that he hit was an absolutely huge one. I believe it gave the U.S. the lead or got us right back they tied the game at that point. Ended with 6 points, only 1 assist for Devin Booker. But as you mentioned, the defense that he was playing and his timeliness, and it was one of the issues that I had. We've talked about the willingness of Devin Booker to be so passive in this game and how in these games and how it's been something that's played in his favor. And it's made the rest of the basketball world take notice that Devin Booker holistically is an amazing player. Matthew, in my opinion, he was a little too passive in this game because he passed open some wide open threes. He's been shooting amazingly thus far in Paris, and I wish that he had a little bit more of an offensive footprint in this game. But ultimately, his defense in those final 7 minutes of this game helped Team USA stop the Serbian attack, and the rest of the stars took over offensively.
Yeah, they knew what they had from him defensively, and I think that was the most important thing to me. Looking at his stats going into the second half and into the fourth quarter, it was miserable to look at the box score, but his defense, he brought so much on that end, and that was really important for me to watch that and to have him be on the floor to end the game. Like, that's huge because if I'm looking at it and he's not performing offensively, who can you really count on? Obviously, Steph Curry was going off, and you really relied on Joel Embiid down the stretch.
Yep.
So he didn't really have to be that guy. I really think his focus was just defense. But to be on the floor, I didn't really believe that he would come back and end the game, maybe just because how poor he was playing offensively and how passive he was. But he came back in and closed out with that unit that obviously has the top players in the game right now. Like, I just think that he's already been permanently just stuck into that lineup. Like I said, Gilbert Arenas, like, he's the best 2 guard right now in the NBA. He definitely is. So it makes sense for him to be on the floor at the end of the game. And that just gives me more confidence in the guy. And you can just see how he can end a game coming back down 10. I think they were down by 10 in the fourth quarter.
11, I believe.
Oh, 11. Yeah. When they're down that much, it's just like you can count on a guy like Book to really keep it up and keep that momentum, or bring back the momentum, get that back, and then hit some big shots. When they tie the game, everyone's just like feeling it. You know what I mean?
Oh, man.
And then what happens is like you tie the game. Serbia calls a timeout, and then you have to stop that next run because
Yes.
I don't know how many games we watched where like the Suns would tie the game, like, oh, we got this game, then I'll score a point the rest of the game. That's how it kind of felt, and they still held it together, man. And I'm really proud of Book, and especially Katie hitting those big shots.
Like, when's the last time you were watching a basketball game fist pumping? Because I know you were probably doing some fist pumps for this game, right?
Little fist pumps, dude, and the little wheelie chair. Yeah,
yes.
Definitely I was. Yeah,
I was doing some fist pumps. I was doing
acting
some
like I'm in a meeting back there.
some Tiger Woods things,
Yeah.
like people are walking by my office and I'm
Some
like
good
pumping
fists.
my fists like I'm Tiger Woods. And as you mentioned, Kevin Durant hit some daggers down the stretch that were absolutely paramount because it got to the point where they were kind of going basket for basket. And it was Kevin Wayne Durant who once again stepped up, and the guy who is the all-time leading Olympic basketball scorer in at least United States men history showed up and showed out when we needed him to the most in that fourth quarter.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
I'm one of the best players to ever play the game.
And he too played 24 minutes like Devin Booker, obviously this time coming off the bench as per usual, not this time, every time. 9 points was all he had, 4 of 8 from the field. And I think he was 4 of 7 in the second half. I think he only had 1 shot attempt in the first half because I remember getting back to my office, pulling up the box score. I go, what the fuck is going on? I'm looking at, turnovers and steals and shooting percentage and all these things. And at that point, the United States hadn't turned the ball over a ton. We hadn't shot horribly from 3. It was just that the Serbians were just simply outscoring us. But Kevin Durant, again, proved why he is Kevin fucking Wayne Durant from a basketball sense. Just absolutely fantastic. Here's an interview that he had with Brian Windhorst after the game.
Kevin, you've experienced a lot of games in your career. What was that like?
Yeah, that was at the top. One of the best games I've ever been a part of. For the simple fact that we dug deep, being down 15 that late in the game. I think we were down 15 with like 11 seconds to go in the third. And the fourth quarter dominance that we showed, I think we won 34 to 15, 14. And by our defense and getting out and running transition, we barely called plays. We just played off of each other well. It was a lot of nonverbal, actions out there. Guys just knew each other were going to be on both ends of the floor. It was special, especially to be a part of Steph Curry. We talked about each game, somebody have to step up. It might be your night, and he came and had the best night out of anybody the whole tournament. So incredible to watch him knock down shots to keep us afloat. Bron playing extremely hard the whole game. I mean, it was incredible, man. Joel was insane tonight. I just love what everybody did.
There were 5 MVPs on the court at the end. All of you wanted it so badly. That's kind of a unique moment in basketball history.
Yeah, it is. I think this game is going to go down as one of the most memorable games for anybody. You see Jokic on that end doing what he can do to will his team to victory. Then you got, MVPs on our team. You also got to give the other guys credit, too, like the Bogies. And sorry if I'm forgetting number 30's name, but he played a great game for them as well, shooting it. And their whole team played extremely well. It was just high-level basketball that people could enjoy down to the wire. It was great entertainment, but it was also great basketball.
What was the conversation you guys were having with each other in that fourth quarter?
We just wanted to get it to single digits by 7 minutes. And that's all we were talking about. Get it to 5 or 7 with 5 minutes to go. But we looked up, we down 5 with like 7 minutes to go. I'm like, all right, we're in a good spot right now. So defensively, we turned it up even more. We got stops when we needed to. We made them miss. We got a couple lucky bounces too as well because they got an open 3 there when they were down.
You said 2 as well.
But that was just the momentum of the game. Us playing great defense the whole quarter. They get a shot that looks like they're not in the first quarter. They'd have made that. So in the fourth quarter, they didn't make that shot because the pressure we put on them throughout that fourth. It was just incredible basketball. I was glad I was just on the court for that.
You've gotten to experience so many of Steph's big performances. What made this one special?
Just because he was, everybody's trying to find their rhythm within the group. We subbing 5 at a time. Some guys playing roles they haven't played before. And like I said, we talked about guys, it could be any guy that had that moment. So knock down his first shot, but to get us going in that first quarter, man, I think he had 17 in that first quarter, 17 of our first 20 points. Guys were looking for him. His energy was high. He was turning around, shooting the ball, turning around. It was just a regular Steph game, and I think he was searching for that type of game the whole Olympics, and to have it right here, especially when we needed it, it was special to see. It was God talking through him tonight.
This is God disguised as Michael Jordan conversation.
That's what it felt like tonight. The shots he was making, and we fed off of that all night. Joel was incredible, and defensively, being aggressive downhill, finishing. Bron, I think they had a triple-double. I mean, like, you guys showcase who they are tonight. I think defensively, we got guys that can pressure the ball. We got length. We can switch. We can do pretty much everything, and we showed that tonight in the fourth.
You and Steph had a particularly nice moment at the end after the whistle there, and just a real hug. Those moments that you're getting on this team with these guys that you've been playing with and against your entire career, how is this run even more special because of that?
Yeah, special group of guys. Just time is winding down. We got one more game, and it's kind of bittersweet, because we are playing the gold medal game, an opportunity to get another gold, but we're not going to be together for, once we finish here. And it's just a joy being in the locker room with these guys, on the bus, just talking life with these guys, and then hooping on the floor with them. Like, just the best team I've ever been a part of, and I want us to finish it off with a gold.
Thank you.
Thoughts on what Kevin Durant had to say about this game?
Well, I agree with everything, especially number 30. Well, I forget his name, but he did a really good job. That's me the whole Olympics. That's exactly how I've been the whole Olympics. So I'm like, who is that guy? So I love that. Obviously, the scouting report wasn't really in depth, or there was, and he just kind of threw it on the floor. He's like, I'll handle it. Don't worry. I'll just make those easy shots towards the end of the game. And they were pretty easy. Just saying, compared to like the defense that he has to go up against in the NBA, he was just moving his guy, breaking some ankles out there too to get to his spot. And of course, we know he can make them. So the interview, though, it's nice because he gives a shout out to Embiid, who was really huge. And I just want to say, like, this whole thing has really turned around with Embiid, and you just forget how good he is, right? I think towards the end of the game, I'm just like, do I really trust him because of the way he played earlier in the Olympics? But he was hitting some big shots.
Huge
and of course, Steph Curry was hitting big shots, but LeBron too, like just getting to the rim and hitting some on. They're easy for him. His layups just bulldoze into the rim. So a lot of those guys, like he said, the locker room must be great, learning a lot from those guys. And it is bittersweet just because I know how much these guys love playing together. But if they did not pull, I think this victory, though, just made it that much better. That way, it wasn't just like cruising to the gold. It was kind of like actually working for it. And then you just have that bond even tighter after it, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why I played that entire interview. That's a 4.5-minute interview, but I wanted to play it because it does a good job encapsulating why the Olympics are so special. And Kevin Durant, for all his social media flaws or personal gripes he has with managing editors of Bright Side of the Sun, he's always been somebody who truly and utterly loves the game of basketball and the experiences it's provided him and the opportunities it's given him to play with talent like he had an opportunity to do so tonight. And for him to, from a teammate standpoint, shout out his fellow players, for him to acknowledge the special type of game that was today, because this was a special game. This is one we'll remember. In LA 28, when we talk about the 2024 Olympics in Paris, we'll remember this game against Serbia and how it was an epic comeback led by Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, guys who might not be on the team next time. If they are, fuck, man, we're going to, they got to be out there with like canes and such. I mean, these them old heads, as Devin Booker would say. So to see his acknowledgement for the specialness of this moment, the camaraderie that's been occurring while on the bus and having those conversations, that's what's always made the Olympics special in every sport, but what obviously in the world that we love and appreciative of and are part of, the basketball world, we've seen it in the past. That's why Booker going to Tokyo in 2021 was so valuable. And to have him here as a part of this too, that shine is gonna rub off on his next season, and to know both of them out there playing the big minutes for Team USA. It was Embiid, It was LeBron, Steph Curry, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. And 2 of those 5 guys are members of the Phoenix fucking Suns. And like what Kevin Durant said, we were just out there playing, man. There's no set game or sets that we're running. We're just playing. We're hooping. We're playing basketball and playing at a high level against a team that was fired up, that had the momentum, that had the shooters, and to come away victorious was just it was a clinic, and it was a special moment. This was a special game. I thought this podcast, Matthew, would be just kind of a quick talk about a bulldozing effort by the Team USA. We'd do 20 minutes, and we'd focus on the fact that we're playing for the gold on Saturday. But this is a seminal moment for Team USA. I really enjoyed what we saw, and I like what I heard from Kevin Durant today after the victory.
Yeah, it truly is. I want to ask you and the Jamsters out there, would you rather have a gold medal at the end of this, or Tyus Jones and Monte Moore, excuse me, 2 good point guards, or would you rather get the gold? Like if you had to choose one or the other.
Well, we can get both.
Yeah, if you had to choose though.
I'd take Tyus Jones and Monte Morris. I'm a fucking
cool.
Suns fan.
Yeah,
Like,
I know. I would too.
I'm having a good time, but
that.
it's the middle of August. And there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, but what's awesome, we're gonna have both.
Yes,
I
potentially.
I love being alive right now.
Now, Kevin Durant mentioned Steph Curry, which of course brings me to trivia time.
You know what time it is.
Trivia time.
All right, everybody, it's trivia time, Matthew's favorite time, and of course, an interesting one we have here. Obviously, an amazing performance by Steph Curry, who's had a whack Olympics for the most part. And for the most part, I mean, leading up to this moment, he was 12 of 19 from the field in his 33 minutes played, scored 36 points, had 8 rebounds, had 2 assists, 1 steal. So here's my question, the trivia time question, Matthew. Steph Curry tonight, again, as I mentioned, scored a total of 36 points. What is the all-time high point-wise by a member of the American basketball team? What was the point total? Who did it?
Was it 37 Melo?
That's correct. All right.
Yeah,
cool. Who was third?
Nice.
So Steph Curry's now in second with 36.
Okay.
Who's third and how many?
Antoine Jameson with 26.
Antoine Jameson. Wow. It's a tie for third. In 2012, it was Melo as well. Melo did it twice in 2012. He had 37 against Nigeria, and he had 31 against Australia. And in 2004, when the team won the bronze, Stephon Marbury had 31 points against Serbia. Nope.
Was it Serbia?
Spain.
Oh, Spain. You know what? The Melo of this year's Olympic team wasn't playing tonight, and that's Jason Tatum.
You want to talk Jason Tatum? I want to talk a little more Steph Curry, but we can.
No.
I
was mentioning it. Let's finish on Steph. I mean,
so watching Steph again. As Suns fans, we know Steph. We can't stand Steph because Steph is kind of douchey, a little kind of goofy, and is obviously a really, really good player. Yeah. He hits that 3 ball, he turns around and walks away. He calls plays. Did you say he calls plays?
No, I said cheats on his wife, but it's an arranged thing.
He calls plays against the Suns. So there's a lot of reasons we're not a big fan of Steph Curry, but to root for him, it's the same feeling that we had last time when the Olympics occurred and we were rooting for Kevin Durant. We're like, this is great, man. This guy's on our team. And he finally showed up. He carried this team when they couldn't do anything because the Serbians came out in fucking fuego. You had, I'm going to mess up this last name, but I'm going to do my best. Avramovic was 4 of 6 from beyond the arc, had 15 points. Bogdan Bogdanovic had 20 points. It was 8 of 18 shooting, 3 of 10 from beyond the arc. God, who else had threes? Dobrik had their shooting guard, was 3 of 5 from beyond the arc. Do you know who the only starter for Serbia who not to hit a 3 was? Who went 0 of 6? Nikola Jokic was the only guy who couldn't fucking hit a 3.
Yeah, how strange, huh?
Everybody on their team. You had Guduric. He was 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. You had Micic. He was 2 of 7 from beyond the arc. I mean, they ended up shooting 38.5% from beyond the arc, 15 of 39. The Americans ended up going 16 of 32, but I felt like there was such a long stretch there where those every time they shot it, it was a miss from beyond the arc. I was like, stop fucking shooting threes, attack. But Steph Curry,
I know. Oh, it's great. And just really quick, too, one thing that Kevin Durant did talk about was there were some missed shots on Serbia's side. There was that offensive rebound towards late in the game. I think it was tied, or Serbia was up by 2. Wide open 3 that was missed. I don't know who it was.
Yes, that guy was so wide.
Yeah, I think that goes in. It might have been a different story, obviously, but you have to have a little bit of luck, something the Suns never have.
Yeah,
and USA
that always goes in against the Suns.
Yeah, exactly. But Steph Curry, yeah, huge game. I think that those free throws at the end was the biggest. I missed most of his output from 3. Obviously, when I came into the game late, he basically already had 20-something points.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing going into the Olympics where it's like, how much do we have to rely on the 3? And I feel like not too much as we thought, but we always knew we would get the one game from Steph Curry. We talked about him coming to the Olympics, how much you were expecting from him. And
yes,
for
his
me,
first Olympics.
Yeah, it's his first Olympics, and I wasn't expecting too much. Like, he's not the superstar like LeBron James or Kevin Durant. But he can have these games where he does outshine, and he can be the best point guard in the league, and he shows why. So thank God we had that game tonight with him and Embiid, because obviously otherwise, if he's not hitting those shots, man, I mean, that's so John Madden of me. I don't even know why I said that. If he doesn't hit those shots, not going to win this game. But thank God he did.
Well, and that's the other conversation here is the fact that Embiid, who's had kind of a touch and go playoffs, was huge in this game.
Yeah,
absolutely huge, especially in that last quarter. Ends with a total of 19 points on 8 of 11 shooting, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. Only had 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and that's what was driving me nuts at the end of the game, Matthew. Was like, Embiid couldn't grab a fucking board. I'm like, come on, dude. That's the one reason you're out there.
Bobbled around. Ugh.
He was smart in trying to attack Jokic, who had 4 fouls in that final quarter, and was able to hit. He was attacking Jokic, but not in the way that would draw a foul. He'd bump into him, do like a fadeaway 15-footer, and you're like, no, dude.
Yeah.
Transition, he'd shoot it from the free throw line. I'm like, no, dude, attack Jokic. Okay,
no, dude.
But like, no, dude.
They did.
The Californians. But
yeah, I didn't trust him.
But he got it done. So this was like Steph Curry and Joel Embiid getting it done when they haven't necessarily got it done through this entire run in the Olympics and during the USA showcases. So very stressful game. Very,
yes.
It's tough. But at the same time, like, you and I had the same amount of points as Jason Tatum. Tell me about that.
Yeah. It's okay, I guess. I don't know. If we lose this game, is that a thing where it's like we should
without a doubt
Jason Tatum?
Without a doubt.
I don't like watching him play on this team. I don't like watching him or Halliburton play on this team.
The issue with Tatum is what makes him good on the Boston Celtics is he has a level of alpha to him. But when he gets out there on the court with these guys, you don't feel that alpha. Like, Booker is one of those guys who just has like this natural confidence about him where he feels like he can hang out there. Mm-hmm. Whereas Tatum just jacks up threes, misses them, and that's it. And he has all the physical deliverables that could make him a great FIBA player. Mm-hmm. But he hasn't really showcased that in this Olympics. In our last Olympics, he did. And that's what, as I was watching this game in the second half, that's where my frustration, I'm like, dude, why isn't Tatum out there? Like, hit him with some athleticism, hit him with some defense. But again, like, Tatum's not the greatest defender. And so the way that they were running high screen action, opening up their 3-point shooters to get their shots, I don't know if Tatum could have done anything with that because the screens were so solid. They were coming off of double pin down screens, off of baseline cuts to get open threes. And again, it's funny, as you mentioned, like, they finally had the most wide open 3 of the game. They bricked it. But it was one of those things where, I mean, we'll definitely get into in the subreddit. People, Jason Tatum, there's everywhere you go, it's become like the thing of the summer, right? Like, you send somebody a picture of Jason Tatum sitting on the bench. They're like, what are you doing? You're like, nothing. Because that's what he did.
I keep seeing that, yeah. It's okay, though. I think that going into next season is not going to really bother him, obviously. But
of course
his game is basically I don't know if it's just like too boring. It's not boring because Book does have kind of a boring game too. But it's very simplistic. But he also doesn't make errors and he moves the ball. He fits right in. I feel like just Jason Tatum's is like too herky-jerky, too like when the ball's with him, it's like too much focus on him himself. I don't know what it is. It's just something that does not belong, and it's just his game fitting in with his team. So I'm actually excited he didn't play a lot of minutes, and we can talk shit about Bill Simmons.
Yeah, Bill Simmons. In fact, Bill Simmons just released a podcast, so I'll be listening to that today or tonight or tomorrow.
Oh, is he back?
He did one earlier this week, and it's about basketball because this is basketball.
He had one earlier this week?
Yeah.
Man,
he had a Monday one.
Okay, cool.
But I will say this, and I was on the radio yesterday with Rooster on 1080, 1060 AM, whatever it is, and he had that question for me. And he's like, seeing what we're seeing from the Olympics, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and anybody else, Jason Tatum, how what are your expectations of next season based on what you've seen with the Olympics? And no, it's apples to oranges. And there's nothing you're going to take from this Olympic run other than confidence and camaraderie with other players that's actually going to translate next season. Like, we're not going to see Devin Booker play off ball the way that he's doing in the Olympics because that's not his role here. You're not going to see Jason Tatum have this lack of confidence because he didn't get playing time in a game against Serbia on August 8th because he's the alpha over there in Boston. It's a completely different role. It's a completely different environment. It's a completely different game. What made this game so much fun to watch today is it was a FIBA game. That there was no breaks at the end, that it was just basketball going, back and forth and back and forth. And there's, if there's a timeout, they're doing it for, 35 seconds and the game's back, the ball's being inbounded. Whereas the NBA, it's such a different beast and such a different time consuming, commercial filled, gobbledygook kind of game that there's nothing you can take. Like Embiid's he didn't rise or lower in my book as an NBA player because of how he's playing internationally. And I think that's the case with pretty much every player I've ever watched in the Olympic basketball realm. They're not going, I don't go, wow, his career's changed. That's it. No, there's aspects, there's growth, there's maturity. Like Anthony Edwards will go up a level, but it's going to be in his role, in his situation, not based off of exactly what happened. It's the aura of around the Olympics, not actually what occurred in the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, but what did we miss last year? It was like a leader. Obviously, there's turnovers, but the Suns needed a leader. So I think Booker kind of like stepped up in that way to kind of be a leader.
But a leader is one of those intangible things, right? And you're 100% right. He's stepping up. He's going to have a leadership capacity. He's going to gain that from the Olympics. And that's going to be a positive thing for him. But it's not going to be something you necessarily see directly on the court, right?
No, I don't think so, but I think it has a lot to do with like how he handled himself in this Olympic situation. Like, I don't know how many times we talked about him coming in here, maybe being the second best shooting guard, him having to overcome that. And who knows if he even heard that? He probably didn't even hear that, but that was a narrative. But he basically came out of this Olympics as a guy that's going to be one of the best top 3 players in here. He probably won't win the MVP. Sorry, Stephanie. He probably won't. It's probably going to be Embiid if he has another stellar game because he's been the reason we won these last 2 games. And his stats tonight were great. But I think Embiid going into next year, it might make more sense for him to actually be the best player next year. That can be the narrative coming out of this playoff or out of the Olympics. I always want to call it the playoffs. Coming out of the Olympics.
I always want to call him Team USA, the Suns. So
coming out of the Olympics, though, man, he is on the run to go back into the next year, go back to the NBA, go back to next season. And just with Philadelphia, have the best roster and then come out on top. Like that could be a thing just because no one believed in him. Everyone was down on the Sixers and Embiid. And then now with his play, it's like, damn, I know, but it's like his play has been so good and so crucial. And yes, he can be ball dominant and he can be a ball hog at times, but he hits such big shots to where it's like if we win next game by like 20 points or so or 15 points, and it's like this is the game where it's like going into next year. He's like, I'm the best player. I beat Jokic. I'm the best center in the league. I'm going to win MVP again, and I'm going to take my team to the finals.
We shall see. I think that there's intangible qualities that are beneficial from the Olympics, but I don't know if it relates to on-court success. Outside of, I guess, Charles Barkley, right? He was the man on the 92 Dream Team. Then he took his team to the finals, and then he lost to Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
The Suns Jam Session Subreddit Stakeout.
Where is she? I'll tell you this, Matthew. I was watching some Christian Bale as Batman videos before this podcast to get my voice back as Batman. Now, I will say, Team USA potentially losing this game makes for some great subreddit stakeout content. So there was 28,000 comments on the subreddit game thread for this game. So I picked out some highlights and just know that I did not scroll through 28,000 comments. But here are some of the highlights. Thank God we don't have to hear LeBron's jokes.
Just really quick. So not Bleacher Report, sorry, Barstool Sports put out a article today about him putting the crown on. What you were talking about last pod. I couldn't even read it because I was just already embarrassed by the headline. But continue. I believed you, but I didn't know it was that big of a thing.
Yeah, well, it's good to know that everyone else, because I saw some things later on. I'm like, okay, so I wasn't the only one to see that. And
It's the most
interpret that
LeBron thing he's ever done.
It is.
Yes.
It's so LeBron's like, oh, people are cheering. It must be for me. Let me act like I'm putting a crown on. It's like, no, it's for the national guy who just won a bunch of fucking golds.
Took a shit and came back.
Other comments from the subreddit during the USA versus Serbia game. What the fuck is a kilometer? Stuff was funny. The U.S. should sub in Caitlin Clark. Embiid really earning his citizenship. How many All-Stars does it take to beat a Serbian horse lover who was drafted at 41st overall? I'm convinced Steve Kerr doesn't even give a shit about winning the gold. Why doesn't Serbia have a team full of NBA All-Stars? Are they stupid? Thank goodness Yugoslavia broke up. I don't know if you get that one.
I do. It's not the country anymore.
Geography joke. I'm so confused. Why aren't there 5 minutes of commercial breaks every 3 minutes of game time? Skyfucker has arrived. I don't even know what that means.
Skyfucker.
Skyfucker?
Who's the
Steph
Sky
Curry
guy?
or something?
Maybe, yeah.
Skyfucker. And the guy who wrote that, he has, people can put flair on their names on Reddit. And when you get the international games like this, you can always see, people have their flair. And it's always kind of fun to see that because you're like, okay, who said that? And what perspective is that coming from? That came from a guy from the Philippines. This is from a guy who's from the Nuggets. Who would win? Dream Team 2.0 or one big fat sloppy boy and his pals? Talking about Nikola Jokic, obviously. I missed the comeback because I'm a coward. I don't deserve this. I'm like, that's a Matthew quote.
Yeah. This game was over so many times.
It was.
Today in the fourth quarter, I'm like, oh, they lost. Oh, they won. Oh, wait, shit. I think they're going to lose this.
It's like, oh, man, if they only hit that shot. And then the flopping at the end. Like, I thought they were going to call some of those flops. Serbia was, like, actively flopping. Like, there were some assassination attempts that appeared in Paris today because a couple of those guys was like,
there was a lot of flopping. Yeah. Thank God they didn't call some of those.
Yeah.
They were flopping all over the place.
Really big floppy donkey dick. And then the last one I have for the subreddit stakeout, July 4th, 1776, and August 8th, 2024. Greatest days in American history.
The Suns Jam Session Subreddit Stakeout.
All right. I hope my Batman's getting better, So I'm not in mid-season form. Take some Batman time off.
Well, did it ever take a dip? I don't think it ever did.
I felt it. I felt it in my throat.
I think I saw one comments about it before. It's like not as good as it was or something.
Oh, well, that person can just rather go fuck himself, okay? Like, I can be critical of myself. You guys can't be critical of me. I can't take that. Ever since I've taken testosterone shots, I'm very emotional about how the criticalness that
you start growing some movies, dude.
Anyone else want to talk about, Matthew?
No, I think I'm good. Jamstar?
Jamstar of the game.
All right, Jamsters, a reminder, hit that thumbs up button if you happen to be watching along on YouTube. And if you're listening to the podcast and happen to be on Apple Podcasts, go ahead, rate us 5 stars, leave us a review. We'll read it right here on the show. Matthew, who are you giving the Jamstar to?
I was gonna go Curry, but I think I'm gonna go Steph Curry for sure. I think I'm gonna. I missed most of the game. I watched him beat the most and those big shots in the end. So I'm like, he has to be the Jam Star. But then now I'm just like Steph Curry because those stats are ridiculous. So I think I'm gonna go Steph Curry.
I'm not going with Curry. I'm not going with Steph Curry. I'm going with Chef Curry.
Ooh,
yeah, those stats alone, he carried this team. He hit a couple big layups at the back end of the game that were crucial. Obviously, every point being crucial in a game where you win 95-91. And I will say, this is the first time that I've bet on DraftKings in like 5 months. And I did a 4 way parlay, and everything that I bet on missed. So
Can I guess?
please.
U.S.
What was
win.
it? Nope. That was like negative 1,600. So that was a throwaway.
You don't put the win in the parlays?
No.
Okay.
Not
Steph Curry,
not if it's negative 1,600.
did you do LeBron James rebounds?
Nope.
All right, go ahead and just tell us.
So I had Devin
We're gonna be
Booker
here for a
over
while.
Devin Booker over 3 assists, Kevin Durant over 10
Ooh.
points, Steph Curry over. Nope, there was nothing. Steph Curry, whatever it was, there was 4 things, and I gave up on it.
I thought you said you won it.
No, I didn't win any of it.
Oh, okay,
I missed on all 4 legs of my parlay. I'm like, and
my
I'm
bad.
back. I'm in mid-season form.
Yeah,
as it
you
comes to
definitely
betting.
are. Just wait another couple months.
Taking a look at what some of the Jamsters say for the Jamstar of the game. You got Suns Fever 83, one of our elite Jamsters, says KD for the interview alone.
Looking 8 feet tall.
Kip gives it to Steph. Slim Reaper clutch shot
My
from
sister
Maya
Steph.
B.
Yeah.
The old 3 heads from John Tran. You know, that's Steph Curry.
Steph, LeBron.
LeBron James's gray beard and Kevin Wayne Durant. All right, next up for Team USA, Francais. So the French team is going on to the gold medal game, a rematch of the 2020 Olympics. Obviously, this is on their home court. They played Germany a little bit earlier today, winning by a final score of 73-69. That too was a highly entertaining game. The Germans came out and were up by 8 or 7 points after the first quarter, but then scored only 8 points in the second quarter. It was tied 33-33 at halftime, and France ends up winning by 4. Victor Wembanyama had 11 points, but it was Cordonier and Yabusele, 16 and 17 points respectively. Rudy Gobert's coming off the bench. What do you think of this French team? I mean, obviously the Americans, they do have some vulnerabilities. We witnessed that today. What do you think of the French?
Oh, well, I have no thoughts on them because I've not watched them yet. But I do know that Gobert was sat towards the end of the game. I don't think he played to end the game.
He came off the bench to start. They started doing that 2 games ago.
Okay, so that's how much I know about this France team.
This
This is like asking about, the Suns are playing the Hornets next. What do you think? Huh? It's the same exact thing.
This is where you just turn around and go, John,
This
what
is
do
for
you
gold,
think?
though, so this is a little different. Yeah. Wembanyama, though, I think he went 1 for 6 in the last game and today's game.
He was 1 of 8 from beyond the arc.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that shows how much I know about this France team.
Well, here's what I'll tell you about France.
Tell me.
Okay, 1, they are going to have the crowd behind them. And you take a look at the last 2 games that they played, and that really, really helped them. They won 2 very close games, and both of it with the crowd behind them, they rallied and ultimately won in the final minutes.
Yeah.
I do in the Olympics because the way that the crowds are in Europe are
There's
fucking,
apples.
it's different. Imagine going to a Suns game and there's chants all the time, screaming, yelling, big dick Booker, blah, 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 blah. There's none of that. Like, we are so casual as fans. It's so different when you're in the European theater to see them support any of their sports, the way that they hoop and holler and cheer and yell. You take that, but here's the other side. Here's what I'm going to be watching. There's 2 games, I feel, since this version of Team USA started playing games together at the beginning of July, that they had a true challenge with. Okay, it was today, and it was against South Sudan. Remember when they won 101 to 100?
Yes.
In both of those games, the opposing team went fucking bonkers from beyond the arc. The French team isn't the greatest team from beyond the arc. Today, they shot 22.2%. You hold down the exterior, you defend that perimeter. Victor Wembanyama, do what you do. They don't hit threes, we win easy. But there's no such thing as winning easy, is there now?
Yeah, but who's buying these tickets though? Is it the corporations? You got Google out there. You're gonna have like
Google
friends. Yeah, so you're gonna have all the celebrities and stuff that need to back up USA because they're not selling those tickets to anybody that lives nearby.
They need Tom Hanks in there. They need Tom Cruise. They need
Tittle?
Tom Brady.
Yeah, exactly.
Tom Tittle. Tom
Bunch of
Thibodeau. If you're named Tom, you need to be in this fucking arena
You're a diddler.
on Saturday.
Yeah.
So, the game is Saturday. I believe it's 12 o'clock our
12:30. Yeah, 12:30.
12:30.
So 12:30, 2-hour game. Post game probably be done by 3:30.
Sounds about right. So, if Jamsters out there want to join Matthew and I, we will be doing a live playback at the Bright Side of the Sun, playback.tv. All you got to do is go to playback.tv, look up Bright Side of the Sun. You can watch the game with me and Matthew. If you happen to pop in the chat, just let us know that you need a VIP pass, and we'll hook you up. And then we'll go live right after that with the Suns Jam Session podcast. One last thing I want to talk about before we get out of here relative to Suns news. Did you see that the Valley Suns are accepting tryouts at the Mullet Arena or ASU, wherever they play, Wells Fargo Arena? Matthew, you going down there and trying out for the Suns?
No, but it reminds me of my friend David. I used to play basketball with him. He used to smother me, man. He was very, very good. But he always talked about, he wished there was tryouts. He wishes that he could have got a 10-day contract. Now's his chance, but this is 10 years later, so I don't think he'll be accepted. But I think it's pretty. Does it remind you of the whole? Do they do this a lot, or is this kind of like the Philadelphia thing with Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, the Eagles. What's the name of that movie? I was trying to think of that the other night.
It's Invincible.
Invincible, yes. This is totally like an Invincible situation.
Yes.
What I was thinking is you and I need to go down there, but like try to be like, hey, we're here to try out to be the play-by-play and the color announcer for the Valley Suns.
Who is that?
John
Bloom said to send in a tape. So
Bloom asked us. He's like, you want to send in a tape? We should just
record it. We should record an edited version.
I'm thinking
we cut out all the pauses.
I got to take a look at the dates. It's sometime in September, I believe. But you and I need to go down there. There's some good content creation right down there where we can be like interviewing potential people who want to join the Suns and be like, yo, you want to be on the Suns Jam Session podcast and just do there's something there, dude.
We should be on the court outside and be like, this is the tryouts, and have people try it out and injure themselves. That's not it. No, I think, we should do something.
We'll do something. We'll figure something out. Maybe what we'll do. I think it's in September. Hold on real quick. Hold, please. Because obviously we wrote about it today on Bright Side of the Sun. It's September 7th and September 8th at 12:30 p.m. So that's like after
football season, man.
No, but that is football. That's the first weekend of football.
Yeah, it is.
But we can go down on the 7th.
On the 7th,
12:30 p.m. Let's go down there on the 7th.
After Notre Dame goes 0-1, we'll go skip week 2.
After we lose to Texas A&M. Can't wait. At College Station. It's fucking bullshit. Typical Notre Dame shit, man. We got to go play a tough team right off the bat. But it's a different season, right? Because the college football playoff, the top 12 teams get in. So you can lose that game and still have a good run. But we got a couple different angles we can do here. We can go down there, interview some potentials, take some video footage, put it on the podcast, put it on the YouTube, put it on our Instagram page, or we can have you try out, Matthew, and document that.
You know
process.
what? I am in a basketball league though now. My friend Ming at work, all his friends. We're called the Sleepy Beavers. The Sleepy Beavers have their first game this next Tuesday, so I've been practicing with them a few times. It's been interesting. Yeah,
it's perfect. We got to get you on the Valley Suns, bro.
No one passes the ball, but
it's like a bunch of 7-year-olds.
Yeah. So, my thumb got stuck in my pocket on accident. I got new shorts. That happened once. Trying to catch a pass, my thumb gets stuck in my pocket.
Well, on that note, Jamsters, we're going to go ahead and get out of here again. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to either watch or listen to the Suns Jam Session podcast. Yeah, it might be nonsense. It might be silly. It might be irrelevant. But you know what? It's fun. So make sure you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, rate, review. Follow me at Darth Voida. Read my writing at brightsideofthesun.com. You can follow Matthew at Matthew Lissy. And you can also go watch the Sleepy Beavers play on Tuesday at your local YMCA. Matthew, take us home.
Go home, love your family.